What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to kick off our 2023 college football predictions for the upcoming 2023 college football season. And we start with the Georgia Bulldogs, the team that won it all last year in 2023. Now heading in, or actually in 2022, I should say, winning back-to-back national championships. This team, once again, is the favorite to win a national championship this upcoming season. And now we're going to give you our official predictions for the Georgia Bulldogs for the 2023 season. Should be a dominant Georgia team once again. They have a lot of production coming back on the defensive side of the football. Have to replace, Stetson Bennett at quarterback. Carson Beck, you got other three guys that are battling for that starting job this upcoming season. But as of right now, my prediction is that Carson Beck's going to be the starting quarterback as of right now for Georgia. But let's get right into it here with the schedule for Georgia heading into the 2023 season. Last year, Georgia came off a 15-0 season, going undefeated. You look at the schedule this upcoming season, they do play UT Martin, Ball State, UAB, and also Georgia Tech in the non-conference. They'll play that game on the road. And then out of the SEC West, they do get Auburn on the road, which they play Auburn every single year, and then they play Ole Miss at home. So you got, two teams that are quality teams in the West, but, I think overall, Ole Miss is going to be probably the toughest game out there for Georgia, but it's a home game for them. So let's go game by game and give you an official prediction for the Georgia Bulldogs for the 2023 season. So they'll start their season off with a non-conference game here against UT Martin. Should be an easy win for Georgia. I really don't see them struggling in this game. And I also got them taking care of business against Ball State. So I got Georgia winning their first two games of the season. And I got the Georgia Bulldogs starting out 2-0 before they head into the SEC play. They'll play South Carolina here on September the 16th. Last year's game was obviously not that close. However, Spencer Rattler coming back at quarterback is huge for this South Carolina team. And, Shane Beamer's really turned this program around. Do I think South Carolina has what it takes to compete with Georgia this upcoming season? I really don't see that happening. I think Georgia is obviously the better team, the more talented team than South Carolina. I think Georgia does win this one here on September the 16th against South Carolina to open up SEC play. And I also got them taking care of business against UAB, a pretty good UAB team, but I think Georgia takes care of business there against UAB, and then they'll start out the season at 4-0. Next game on the road at Auburn. This is going to be a pretty tricky one here for Georgia. Of course, Hugh Freeze coming in from Ole Miss. I mean, he's a guy that, can lead this Auburn team to potentially compete with this Georgia team. I think maybe the game's close in the first half, but I think, Georgia is just too talented, and I think, the Bulldogs will beat Auburn here on the road. It's definitely going to be a tough place to play. No doubt about it. It will be a tough place to play for Georgia, but I think the Bulldogs are just more of a talented team than Auburn. I think Auburn has a little bit of long ways to go before they actually compete in the SEC West and obviously against the SEC East. But I got Georgia starting out 5-0 heading into the month of October. They'll play Kentucky here on October the 7th. The Kentucky team that's got a lot of transfers coming in. And also, you got Devin Larry, an experienced quarterback, coming in. Do I think he has what it takes to compete against this Georgia defense? I really don't think so. I don't really see this game being all that close. I think Georgia really beats Kentucky here in this game. Plus, it's a home game for Georgia. I really don't see them struggling in this one. And I think the Bulldogs do now improve to 6-0 on the season. Next game on the road at Vanderbilt on October the 14th. Vanderbilt was a team last year that made quite success, but, they went 5-7 last year, but it's hard to tell how this Vanderbilt team is going to compete, but I don't really see this game being all that close either, even though it's a road game. I think it's kind of similar to Kentucky here in this, on this schedule, and I think, Georgia beats Vanderbilt here on the road on October the 14th, and I got Georgia now improving to 7-0 on the season. They get a bye week after playing this game. They'll play Florida here in Jacksonville, which is the biggest game in the SEC East almost every single year. Florida's a team that's got a lot of question marks. They do have Gray Mertz coming in, from Wisconsin. Maybe he can help them out. I think this game is kind of similar to last year, where it was close at halftime, and then Georgia started to pull away in the second half, and I think that's what's going to happen this upcoming season for this game right here. And I got the Georgia Bulldogs beating Florida here on October the 28th. I think it is a close game, like I said, in the first half, but in the second half, I think Georgia does pull away, and I got Georgia improving to 8-0 on the season. Missouri up next here on November the 4th, a Missouri team that's got a lot of production coming back. However, this is a home game for Georgia, and it's kind of similar, to the Kentucky game and also the Vanderbilt game. I just don't see Missouri really having a big shot here against this Georgia team. Maybe if this game was at home for Missouri, it would be a closer game, but I think, with Georgia being at home, there's no question about it. I got Georgia winning that game there on November the 4th. The game was pretty close last year, but I think Georgia is better by this time. They're starting to, clean things up on the offensive side of the ball, and I think, one of those quarterbacks are going to get better. Carson Beck's going to get better as well if he's the starting quarterback. So I got Georgia beating Missouri here, and I got them improving to 9-0. Ole Miss here on November the 11th. I think this game could be probably a shootout perhaps, but I really don't see that Ole Miss offense getting past that Georgia defense. I mean, this will be a close game. Maybe the first half it's kind of similar to Florida. It will be a close game in the first half, but I think, second half Georgia will pull away, and I got the Bulldogs beating Ole Miss here on November the 11th. And I got Georgia improving to 10-0. Next game on the road at Tennessee. They'll play back-to-back road games here with Tennessee and Georgia Tech here to end things out here in the month of November. Tennessee is obviously going to be their toughest road game this upcoming season. Tennessee is going to have that hurry-up offense. They're going to be well-motivated in this game. However, I just don't think it's going to be quite enough, and I think Georgia is going to defeat Tennessee here on November the 18th here on the road. And I think Georgia does escape here in Knoxville in a tough crowd, and I think Georgia does defeat Tennessee here on the road on November 18th. Georgia Tech here to end things out here for Georgia on November 25th. Georgia Tech made some progress last year going 5-7. This team does have a decent amount of production coming back. I just don't know what to expect for Georgia Tech, though. They just obviously are a question mark every year. We don't know how competitive they're going to be against the ACC. We don't know how competitive they'll be against the SEC either. But I think Georgia does win this one here. I think Georgia's just way too talented, and I got the Georgia Bulldogs finishing the regular season at 12-0 and possibly going to the SEC championship game once again. It could be against Alabama, it could be against LSU, or maybe some other team in the SEC West. I think the SEC West is definitely going to be wide open this year. I think Georgia is clearly the dominant team heading into 2023. I think this schedule really sets up nicely for them. And that's my official prediction for the Georgia Bulldogs. Let me guys know what you think about this official prediction. Do you agree or disagree? And we'll start these official predictions starting out throughout this week and continue them for the last couple months. So Georgia Bulldogs going 12-0 in 2023 is my official prediction. And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.